Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Etims podcast. My name is Desmond, and I'm very glad to say we have a full house of joy and laughter tonight, starting with the pilot of Italia Carrier, Ralph Malf. Good evening, Ralph.
Good evening, full of festive cheer and fun and frolic.
It is Christmas, so it's good. It's Christmas / New Year almost, so it's good to have I Am Jolly back. Moving over to the suburbs, we have Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Hello, I'm just doing my Daisy and Richie impersonation.
That has been meant to go on. And then a man from across the water, Monty C, and I have no idea what the C could possibly stand for this evening. Monty C. Burns, good evening, Monty.
Good evening, Desi. Good evening.
Are you suggesting via your title in this video here, Monty, it's confirmation bias? That could be what the C stands for.
Could be an element.
C'est la vie.
Close the door on your way out.
I was thinking the C could stand for, to be honest. Right, okay. So as everyone listens, thank you everyone for joining us, listening. As always appreciated. Thank you very much. As you're clearly aware, we are recording this on the night after the day before, so to speak. We've just finished the League Cup final, but we'll come to all of that, right? Normally we would catch up what happened since the last podcast. But first of all, guys, I'd just like to take a wee moment just to pay our respects to John Dixie Deans, who sadly passed away on the 9th of December. I'm not sure if it was maybe just before your time. Hector, I know you did put up in your chat one of your early memories. It was.
I don't know. It was the forward row, as we called it, the roly-poly at Hampden, when it was one of the goals. I think it was one of those ones where, as a child, and you just remember somebody in a roly-poly, especially a Celtic player, stuck in the head. I think he'd beat about 3 Hibs players 5 times each before slotting it away past the keeper, then ran and did his roly-poly. So that was one of the earliest kind of Celtic memories.
Could you imagine if you were watching that and knew about Hector and he was doing that dribbling and you just screaming and getting the ball in the fucking net?
Aye. He'd be told to pass it, wouldn't he? Many times, but you know.
Get away, or else you'd be get away for that byline. You should never be anywhere near the Celtic players do not go near the byline anymore.
Even his name, I know. Sorry, mate. Even his name, and I know his nickname was Dixie after the Everton legend, Dixie Deans. But even that, you know, Dixie Deans, it had that wee bit of gallus about it, didn't it?
That's a perfect point, because I was going to raise that, and I've wrote the word iconic. Not the whole the 6 goals against Partick, the 2 hat tricks against Hibs. He was one of the iconic players, and I don't really know if we have iconic players anymore.
He was kind of the mould of the top strikers in the mid-70s. You had Gerd Müller, the wee chunky German. My overriding memory of Dixie Deans was in the League Cup final against Hibs. We beat them 6-3, and Jimmy Johnston kind of tore down the wing, tried to shoot, but Dixie got a diving header in. And at exactly that point, I turned around to my Uncle Kenny and my dad, because they were giving money away every time we scored, and I missed the goal. It's just one of those things that you'll never forget as a kid. It was, I would have been, 9, 10-year-old. The guy was phenomenal. And I reckon Liverpool signed the wrong guy. Dixie Deans played something like 3, 4, maybe maximum 8 times for Scotland. He should have went to the 70. Do you know what? Wait now. 33 goals in the season before the 74 World Cup, and a World Cup where we took Donald Ford of Hearts and Dennis Law, whoever he was playing for at the time, and we couldn't score enough goals against Zaire. So, all right, he missed a penalty, but that doesn't matter.
Right, well, I'll come at that for Monty. Right, so again, I'd made a wee note. Between 1965 He starts with Motherwell for Nielsen, 1965 to 1976. Monty, 89 goals for Motherwell, then 124 goals and 184 games for Celtic. Yet he only get 2 caps for Scotland. It's amazing to think, even in the mid-70s, that Masonic cabal nonsense was still. When you think about it, madness.
And who would have been? Maybe you know, Ralph. Who would have been Scotland's kind of starting centre forward at the time?
Dennis Law.
Dennis Law was very much on
just
the way
past
out.
his best. He was just past his best.
But about 8 years.
Law was light years ahead of anybody. His peak.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's about it. We're talking about Dixie Deans, but Dennis Law was world class.
He
was past his 74. So
and that's the reason. The reason I asked it, I wasn't aware genuinely, but the reason I would ask it is there is that sort of the Masonic sort of barrier to any player that play for Celtic, but someone with that sort of scoring record.
Madness.
So sorry, Rich, you mentioned the strikers like the Gerd Muller, like Dixie Deans.
Kevin
Fair
Keegan.
enough. The other one, Joe Harper. Right. Joe Harper was pretty much the same shape and was a fantastic goal scorer. But I think Joe Harper was kicked out the squad the year before due to being drunk away at a game in Denmark, right? So he was banned. He was banned with the national team. Joe Harper at the time.
Hold on.
See that same game I'm talking about? Harper got a hat-trick against Celtic.
Ralph, 2 secs. To quote an old phrase that you don't hear anymore, was the sin died. You never hear sin died anymore.
Yeah. But look at that, just a forward line. Johnston, Deans, Harper, instead of Law, Ford.
But Jinky was also past his best in 74, right?
I don't know. He just turned Yugoslavians apart with Red Star Belgrade, maybe 2 years previous. They were terrified of him. Doesn't matter if he could still do it. Just the thought that he'd come on would have scared them. We could have won the World Cup in 78.
So
2 years after 74.
74. I'm getting old.
Two things on Dixie Dean just before we finish. There was two of the things. Again, the Inter penalty, or as I've written it here, the pre-Ryan Christie. I mean, he led the way, and Ryan Christie has followed. That ball, Dixie, it never landed. It's been like a Celtic myth.
For our younger followers, though, can you tell them what the actual game was?
I'll let Ralph.
Yeah. Go back to when we used to terrify other European teams.
But what was it? It was a semi-final.
Was it a semi-final?
Semi-final European Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this was a penalty shootout to get to the third European Cup final in 7 years.
Yeah, and Ralph was made interested in how much money he could get off his uncles. And sadly, Dixie's to say Dixie's ball went over the bar would be a slight miscalculation. As I say, it's still
all this reminiscence great, but all you have to do now is trust the process. We're in control of a guy who managed the mighty Exeter City to fucking greatness. Follow his logic, follow his doctorship, follow his process, and it'll not be long to we're terrifying European teams.
You're getting hell of a political
fucking Division 4 in Lithuania, maybe. Who knows?
Let's celebrate a great first.
He used to be in charge of a club that place called Team Back. I'm not even sure if that's an instruction.
Right, let's stay with Dixie Deans now, please. Right, Hector.
So Dixie Deans, this is quite apt because it's the day after losing yesterday. But I read, I think it was Saturday, that Dixie Deans grew up. You see, he played for Neilston. He was actually a St Mirren fan growing up. Dixie Deans.
Well,
and he became obviously playing for Celtic. But as many as will know who went to Celtic Park, maybe lucky to have got the corporate, or no, just even a wee pint, whatever. Dixie was one of the many ex-Celts who was always there, involved for a long time, and was good. It seemed to be a lot of these guys for that era. Their partner was good. They could just talk to punters like your mate would talk to you, kind of thing. There wasn't this, but there wasn't what I'm getting. There wasn't this kind of no aloofness. That's no fair, but that kind of gap. Because what they were earning was, obviously it was more than the average man, but it wasn't that much more. So there was more commonality. So they could talk to you in your own language kind of thing, if that made sense. Anyway, he was that generation.
Yeah, as I say, and a lot of them had pubs and they had that camaraderie and dealing with the common man, for want of a better phrase. But of course, I've written the word iconic, and the most iconic thing about Dixie Deans, as well as the roly-poly forward roll, the 2 hat-tricks and the 6 goals against Partick Thistle, is the iconic picture of him with Bob Marley gazing on at him. When he went to Australia, he goes to see Bob, he's playing in Australia, he goes to see Bob Marley, gets backstage, he's awestruck meeting Bob Marley, and Bob Marley's first words are, "Are you Dixie Deans of Glasgow Celtic?" Because Bob Marley is a Glasgow Celtic fan. No,
Here's a wee bit trivia.
You've made it. When Bob Marley's calling you, you've made it.
And Dixie Deans. Bob Marley wrote a song called Johnny Was many, many years back. And there's a line in it. A shot span out in the Glasgow night. And it's entirely about that penalty. Have a listen to it. It's true.
Oh, there you go. There you go, listeners. There's a recording challenge. Look out for Bob Marley's Johnny Was. So there we go. So R.I.P. Dixie Deans. I know of few various channels I've heard there's been a lot of people reaching out, various Celtic stars, etc., looking to pay the respect. So that's we just like to say our big respects to John Dixie Deans, R.I.P. Okay, doc. Right. So moving on, a slight twist. Someone on Twitter complained. Hector and I share the Etims Twitter account at Etimsnet, and someone, I don't want to say complained, but they basically made a surprising observation when I commented on a movie I'd watched on using your Twitter feed, and they went, "Are we getting movie reviews from Etims now?" So I've got a movie review that I'm going to cover right now, right? So I'm just going to take 2 minutes.
Is it a horror movie, Desi?
Well, you'll find out in a second, right? So this is the Etims Film Club review, right? So bear with me for 1 minute, and I watched a film called The Substance. And I don't know if anyone saw it, right? So I watched a film called The Substance. You may have seen the posters with Demi Moore was nominated for an Oscar, etc. Right? So this is my review of The Substance, right? The Substance. A major long-term success in their sporting field suddenly finds time catching up with them and questions being asked about their relevance in the present and no place for them in the future. They then go on the defensive, and we sit there and watch in shock as they get ever more desperate in an attempt to stave off the inevitable. This horror show all ends in a terrible bloody mess, ultimately destined for the garbage heap. Apropos of nothing, it actually involves someone checking for a strong spine and folk even then being stitched up the back. Etim's verdict, scary but totally unrealistic. Right, now on to the Celtic board, right? So let's move on to the Celtic board. That's the Etims Film Club for 2025. So that brings us up to what's happened since we last met. So what I have is, since we last spoke, the Green Brigade band was extended. We may touch on that. But Wilfried Nancy joins. Right, so what happened? Martin O'Neill wins 7 out of 8, including that Feyenoord win. And Martin, we'll have to mention, Meterland and Balance. He departs with us joint top with a big wave cheerio. And finally, Martin even has to announce it. In comes Wilfried. I'll start with you, Monty. The club announced Nancy was always the club's leading candidate and primary target following the resignation of Brendan Rodgers. Wolf and his team arrived for work. Do you remember that heady day almost 2 weeks ago, Monty?
Yeah, memory somewhat fuzzy at this stage. I also recall lots of contradictions. Well, I know we're going to come on to all sorts of football and contradictions shortly. But they talked about him being the candidate of choice for a long-term vision for where Celtic wants to go, and they give him a 2.5-year contract. They talked about 2.5 years, long-term, not really feeling it. There's a very clear, what's coming out today, and there's lots of stuff coming out today. The handover process between outgoing O'Neill and inbound Wilf, it just didn't happen. It's a fucking lie, if ever it was conceived. And O'Neill himself said today it was a maximum of a 15-minute chat. Nicholson has disappeared, apart from giving him a hug on a club video and being photographed at a couple of games as people get more and more irate. The club, for all its bluster and fucking noise after Rodgers was resigned, has been exceedingly quiet as well. And if you look at all of this, this is, I think I just called it in the WhatsApp group, this is an utter clusterfuck. There is no other way that you can, and I feel for the guy, but he want to watch, and why the fuck not would you take an opportunity like that? But he's been brought into a club that is led by, ignore the guy with the moustache and the eagle, it's led by complete mediocrity. And he's going to fit in fucking perfectly right now. And buckle up, because this is going to be really painful for the next while. So yes, Desi, I vaguely recall a three-liner, a cuddly video, but everything else since, fucking hell.
But Ralph, I would ask you, is it world-class mediocrity? That's the question.
It's kind of astonishing that we've allowed what's his name, Tisdale? Is it Paul or Peter?
Mr.
Paul
Snooze.
Tisdale. Right.
Dr. Football.
Dr. Football.
Dr. Football, aye. He has had, let's call it a mediocre career. And somehow, somewhere, he's ended up as director of football. Now, if you look back to when Brendan had his fisticuffs with Nicholson stroke Mackay, for those of you who've ever been in trouble, it's the first guy that makes a complaint that gets to go to the High Hegian. And it looks to me like Nicholson complained about Brendan, and Brendan just went, you know what, you can all fuck off. And he left, he went away, and we're left with Nicholson, who spoke to Tisdale, and he says, do you know what, I've seen this documentary about American football, a guy called Ted Lasso. Oh no, wait, no, that's a different thing. We've got hold of a boy for Columbus Crew, who I believe had a couple of hit records in the 90s. No, that's another thing. Look, the guy has done nothing ever in his career. He wants to get these players in to get his system. So you would think at least the director of football would say, oh, show me where it worked before. Show me where you've done it. Well, actually, we're 12th in the American League just now. And we've won 11 out of 33 games, 3 of our last 15 under my charge, with the players that I'm in control of. But I'm going to sit down and tell people like Callum McGregor and Kieran Tierney that they need to do it my way. I may be getting a wee bit angry about this, but how the fuck did that guy get this job?
Right. Okay. Right. So I have written here.
All right.
Don't worry, Hector.
About him, but...
Don't worry, Hector. I know you've got a lot to say, but I'm just binding my time to open the airwaves to you, because this is such a heated topic, folks. That Mick Hollywood, our resident e-timmer who resides in New Zealand, was up at 4 a.m. ranting like fuck in your WhatsApp group. So I have been collating Mick's thoughts, and he is normally the most easygoing, positive-minded guy, optimistic, CSC. And here are some of Mick's. Before I come to you, Hector, I'm just going to read a wee collation of Mick's thoughts, right? So what I had written here was, and Hector, as your words were before, and also, everybody wishes Wilfried Nancy well, right? We all want him to do well, right? So everybody wishes him well in the role. Some, however, retain their doubts, right? So here's Mick from Etims in New Zealand. Mick wrote, do you guys think a guy with MLS coaching experience only and no playing experience of a big club can do what's needed at Celtic? I don't. You could argue Ange had no European pedigree either, but he took Australia to a World Cup, won the Asian Cup, and had won titles in 2 countries. Wilfried Nancy is a terrible choice. I'm usually fairly upbeat and positive and about change and want to give new managers a chance, but this guy is not the answer. I've seen Angie's team play, winning titles attractively. I look at Nancy and I see a guy backed by a few people in Ohio. I have no faith whatsoever that he has any idea what is required at Celtic, and this season will prove to be a complete disaster. Right? So that's Mick's opinion. Hector, I want to bring you to... We bring Nancy
upbeat at that point.
We bring Nancy in, and we're facing Hearts. Martin O'Neill has us joint top of the league. If we beat Hearts, we can really lay a marker down, kick on 3 points clear as we head into the new year. I'll leave it to you to tell us what happened.
So you know the sad though that I watch all the managers' media conferences, right? So they're on YouTube, and usually the Friday press conference, it's online, usually about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So I'll watch it, tends to last 15 to 20 minutes. So when Wilf comes in, I thought, well, obviously I want to just hear what the guy's got to say. So first thing I would say is he's a French guy, but he's worked in Canada and worked in the US for 4 years. So his English isn't perfect, but it's more than manageable. However, at the same time, during the press conferences, you can see it's a struggle at times to pick up with some of it. And that's understandable. It's like us trying to talk French or Spanish, right? So sometimes, what it means, the translation can be lost, right? And I'm trying to be kind about that, not in a nasty way, but that, if there's 20 people in the media all shouting questions across, I get it. It can be difficult at times. But the one thing that stood out, he was asked about Martin O'Neill and, did he get some time with him? And with Martin steadying the ship and doing a good job short term, was he going to transform things straight away or wait until January with the transfer window open? So he basically said, he spoke well. And he basically said, Martin was great, really famous what he did, blah, blah, blah. Tick, 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 tick. All the boxes were getting ticked at this point. Bit of pragmatism, bit of humility. Then he says, and yeah, I want to do a little bit, just a little bit of time. I'm not going to go and do changes overnight. It's not the right thing to do. I'll do a little bit at a time. And at that point, I thought, Christ, that's pragmatism. Really good, really happy here what he's saying. This was the Friday before the game against Hearts on the Sunday, right? So you got the Sunday game, and I'm thinking, based on what, and a lot of fans won't watch his full conference, right? But based upon that, then he's going to keep Martin's pretty much the 4-3-3, maybe a minor tweak here and there, give himself a chance to bed in, get to January, identify the players he needs to bring in over the next 3-4 weeks with the club, take his time, but just keep things going in that positive kind of footing that Martin O'Neill had done with Sean Maloney. Goes to Sunday, and we don't see a right back in the squad, or the first 11 that's named. Then the red flag comes up, and we're going, right, hold on a minute. Right, so he's got Trusty, Scales and Tierney, right? So he's played a 3-4-3 at Columbus, but he's just after saying in that 2 days earlier in the conference, he's going to do minor tweaks, then bit by bit, change it. But he's not got a right back. Is he really going 3? Is somebody else playing right back? Is Engel going the right back? Rio's played there once or twice. He's not going to do that, is he? Really? No. Then the game starts against Hearts, and you're going, fuck, that is a 3-4-3, right? Tanecki's been out, and Neil's not had him in the last 2 or 3 games, but he's got him left wing back, but he's never played. He's got Yang at right wing back, but he's never played there before. But Yang's been playing the other side, as you know. Yang not been playing the left wing for Martin O'Neill the last 2 or 3 games, and we've been getting results. Right, hold on. And then you're going, so Maeda's up front of his own. We've got a midfield 4 that's like a box, but it's all a bit strange. So the first 20 minutes were actually quite dynamic and quite, let's be honest, upbeat. Maeda missed a sitter, which he should have buried, one sitter. But see, after that 20 minutes passed by, this was the concern, that we did nothing. We actually did nothing until a header by Engels that he should have scored, was about 10 minutes to go, 75, 80 minutes, and he missed a great cross for Tierney. Engels should have scored. But we didn't look like creating anything. And actually, every time Hearts dared to go forward, you thought they might score again here. And that was the first red flags that went up. He totally went against what he said on the Friday, right? He totally transformed it with minimal time with those players who had... And this is important to tell the story about Brendan moving on and Martin coming in. When Martin and Sean came in, and we top us the last podcast, he made 2 subtle changes. That's all he did to that team that Rodgers had, right? He put a number 10 high up the pitch behind the striker. I think Nygren initially. Then after that, Rio sort of moved higher up the pitch when Nygren gets found out as usual. And he wanted the ball moved forward quicker, down the wings or to the striker. That was the 2 changes. very minor changes that Martin and Sean did that worked really well, right? So Wilf comes in and fucking rips it all up after what? What do you have? We played Dundee Wednesday night, so a lot of the guys playing when they've got a session the Thursday. He probably his first real session with those players on Friday morning.
Aye.
Those players that
I
played.
think the first day,
Right.
remember when you saw him meeting James Forrest in the gym and stuff?
So he's hit that Friday, then did a media conference to say, very subtle, no. Then I thought, he's maybe the wee light session the Saturday. But then to do that and fucking go, rip everything up, there you go. And you can just imagine players going, right, okay, fine. But it didn't make sense, Desi. That was the big red flags for me the first game. But, going back to your point, we all want Wilf to do really well. But to then turn in his words within 48 hours, right? That's a big red flag to me. That's a big worry to do that. And literally here we are, since that Sunday game, just over a week
8
later.
days, yep.
And it's if anything, it's actually got worse.
Jay,
Yesterday was far worse than the Hearts game.
Yeah, we'll come to that. Do you know you probably know the Captain Haddock and Tintin meme, whereby Captain Haddock's like sitting over a drink and he's like, what a week, and Tintin says it's only Wednesday. So I was picturing that as Wilfried Nancy. What a season. It's only been a week. You know what I mean? It's literally 8 days, and as you say, Hector, it's been a disaster. But Monty, right, so just to quote Mick in New Zealand again, his comments following the Hearts game were, changing the shape after 2 days is not bad management, it's idiotic. Right, that was Mick's words. So Monty, you were like, so Hearts weren't even that good. We were just terrible, and as Sector said, we didn't even create anything. Tierney scores in the last couple of minutes, but it didn't really matter. We were just terrible, right? But Monty, you being the glory hunting champion of Etims, you managed to get to the Roma reserves game. You were at the Roma reserves game, whereby we were literally laughed at. I've just wrote, we were laughed at by Roma reserves. Evan Ferguson, there were times some Celtic players didn't know what they were doing, Monty. And it was clear to see, wasn't it?
I think I put a message up into our WhatsApp at half time or close to it. There was nothing that I seen in the first half that reflected anything that Wilf said he wanted to bring to the table. You know, other than being, I think he added a word under being disgusting to play against. It was just, and Hector called it yesterday, just fucking chaos. And I get the notion of change, but I know we'll come on to it. Sorry.
Hold on, sorry, Monty. I have saved these quotes. This to actually quote what you said here, Monty, to back you up here. There's literally nothing I could see there that backs up his messages about moving the opposition around, creating overloads, and being disgusting to play against. I mean nothing. It's like we've decided we'll use this as a session on keep a ball at the back and try and draw them in. Then the wee chip ball into space and we go. Thing is, none of it is working. Roma could be 6 up.
Yep. And that was genuinely being generous to what we shown. And then we missed a penalty, obviously. And it's the first time in a long, long time that I've watched something and I couldn't see any pattern. I couldn't see any structure. I could see some formative 3-5-2. I could see Yang being positionally confused. I was on the halfway line in 104 in the North Stand. And you could see him. He's actually quite a big, athletic young fella as well. But Roma made us look like midgets physically. Roma were just so much more dominant. Technically, they were so clean on the ball. And yes, they're a step up from us, Desi, but I haven't left a Celtic match with 20 minutes to go since, I think, the early 90s. And I left on Thursday night with 20 minutes to go. I went, fuck this. I'm not staying for that. I'm going to get an earlier train back up to Edinburgh, which is exactly what it did.
There's your tourism football, folks, right there.
Exactly. And here, if you think I'm bad, you should have seen the other 52 fucking thousand. So we're in a really, really, I would call it slightly scary place. It's not worrying yet. It's just a little bit scary because that's the first time since the early 90s. The fucking feeling
Aye.
around younguns. I'm talking kids, and the guy's he's not a wet week into the job, and there's kids behind me. I'm talking young teenagers going, you haven't a fucking clue what you're doing. Move the ball forward. Pass it to somebody in a fucking green. Seriously, lads, this is gonna explode if it's not contained really quick. That's what Thursday night was for me, Desi. Fucking
Okay,
shot.
right. So this take on that, Ralph. Don't worry, I've got your quotes also. Ralph, you're usually more succinct than Monty. Your simple phrasing was, "Has he gone yet?" And that was that. Has he gone yet? And you,
Now,
so Ralph,
I would like to go back.
Hold on,
I would
Ralph.
like to go back.
Hold on. Still struggling. Hold on, just a sec. Sorry. Still struggling to see what could possibly have attracted us to him. He doesn't seem to have any of the skills necessarily to do the job. And now I come to think it, there weren't too many who knew him blowing his trumpet for him while we were chasing him, Ralph. So, Ralph, Roma game, Hearts game, shambolic. Roma game, absolutely embarrassing. But then the rumours start, Ralph, that all is not well.
Hey, obviously, I've not had time to do a diary. One of the reasons I've not had time to is I'm working on a novel with somebody, and we had done.
You've read a novel before.
Yeah. Well, it's more of a coloring book, and we're working on that, and I've got the screen on in the background, and it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, I don't want to watch it. I really don't want to watch it. And I've not felt like that since Brady, Mowbray. And you think, what's went wrong? And I put something on Twitter the other night. This has to be a record for somebody losing a dressing room. And you're getting the usual back, oh, give him a chance, give him this. And I wasn't really paying that much kind of attention to the replies. But I just wanted to say, why do we have to give this guy a chance? Why? What has he got that we need? He has no man management skills. He has no. The Roma game, I've seen a substitution, and the number goes up, and it was a wrong number, and somebody else done that, and it was the same yesterday. He really hasn't got a clue.
Well, see, I don't know. I know that looks terrible, right? And I don't know.
No, it doesn't look terrible, Desi. It is terrible.
Aye, right. But what I was going to say is, he's doing on the touchline. He's maybe just getting really infused. Is it the same in America? Is it the same in the MLS? And is it universal the way things are done? Kind of thing? I'm not sure. So I'm wanting to give him
you have to be really stupid to win a football team.
It's very worrying when Tierney's looking at him as if I'm injured. You see Tierney hobbling into the stand, and Tierney's kind of going, I've got to come off, and he's going, I'm giving you some tactics. You know what I mean?
I can't figure it out. So I'm kind of watching the end of the Roma game, and there's a few senior players starting to think to themselves, oh, come on, we can't really let this go. And you can see them trying, but because the rest of the team hasn't quite got that, I don't know, what do you call it, get up and go. They're just thinking, I'm not needing the support screaming at me. It's no my fault. I didn't buy into this when I came here. The whole lot is collapsing. Right, and it goes back to the simple fact that if you take over a business or you take over a branch or whatever, you have a look to see what's there first, and then you tweak it a wee bit. Then you do the little bits that you need to do to make it that bit better than it was before you came there.
Okay, right. We'll come back to that discussion, because we have really been having a heated discussion on that, where the blame lies, and I think everyone's kind of getting universally agreed now, right? But I just want to step back, because there's a few wee touches, right? So I'm just looking at the quotes I've saved. So Monty, this when he came in, right? This is less horseshoe of death, more dildo and boys with Tierney and Johnson, the outside bohers. We'll trade width and possession for narrow pressure points. It will then come down to how rapidly and accurately we can shift the ball. Here's where the prophecy comes in, Monty. With our current playing squad, there's going to be Olivier Tebele moments. So well called there, because I think Liam Scales in that Roma game is the epitome of a bomb scare night. No harm to Scalesy. Okay, Hector, if we've found Ange 2, he's away in 2 seasons. If we've found Ronnie Dyler 2, he's away in less than 2 years. Would you like to change that to 2 months at all at this point, Hector?
I think you know where it's coming from with it, right? Because if you, and this is one of my other big concerns, is we're not even got the St Mirren game yet, right? This is for everybody, this is pre-St Mirren game, right?
4 days, we're 4 days in here.
The other big concern is he when he did the full change to the 3-4-3, right, with the kind of no wingers, wing backs, with in effect 2 10s that play off the striker or drop deeper, fill the white spaces. But this takes fucking weeks and weeks and weeks to work on, right? No fucking one session at Lennoxtown on a fucking Friday morning. But the thing that really worries me about his appointment, and it's 2.5 years, Monty touched on 2.5 years, right? That's called sitting on the fence, giving somebody 2.5 years who's going to transform the club, right? So that's a worry. But 2, you're giving the keys to somebody who's going to make us a 3-4-3, which requires specific skill sets in terms of wing backs, as in not wingers, wing backs, which then means that our wingers almost by virtue of that become defunct. So we've had let's get back, we've had Brendan initially, first time round with the team. Lennon kept it going. Ange, Brendan again, even Martin, 4-3-3. Different variants of it, but in essence, that was your 4-3-3. To then go bang, 3-4-3 with your defenders almost pushing up to the opposition. I'll take that. Your defenders pushing up to the opposition penalty box.
Hello, Mr. Skills.
Right. It's transformational. But the concern I've got to you, this is my concern. If you give him the keys in January to go and get in, what's the matter? We'll spend money because the board are that fucking, they're in that much of a fucking hole right now that they'll never admit they're wrong. So what they'll do is they will back this guy next month. They won't sack him. Forget that, folks. It's not happening right now, right? They'll back him. I'm not saying they'll spend 30 million. They won't. But they'll back him. But hold on. But they'll back him to bring in 5 or 6 players that he wants, maybe from the MLS, maybe by Dr. Football's wonderful scouting techniques. But what that's going to then mean is that when the inevitable happens...
is that DVD available at the Celtic Superstore by any chance? Dr. Football's football techniques.
But see, when the inevitable probably happens, right? Guess what that means for the next person coming in, who won't do this almost unique 3-4-3 system that maybe a handful of coaches do. The ones that are successful have great players, by the way, right? Just to get that bit in. It means another rebuild. And so, see how we laugh at the Huns for the rebuild. We're on the cusp of fucking doing this in January, then switching it again next summer. We're on the cusp of doing this, and that's my biggest concern. And that was before we played yesterday.
Can I just come in on that just before you jump there, Al? I was just checking as you were talking that through, because I did the same thing earlier in the week to see how many teams, what formations the teams play at the minute. And the 4-2-3-1 is everyone's favourite, or the 4-3-2-1. The only teams that are playing with 3 at the back, to Hector's point just made, that I can find anyway in the nominals, apart from, you can ignore Paphos, they're just getting spanked. They're the first time.
They're no bad. They've got about 7 points.
First timers, Champions League. But you look at some of the players they have. They've Anderson Silva playing up top, David Luiz in the middle, Bruno Felipe and Pepe. Like, they're fucking decent anyway. Ignore that. They play 3-4-1-2 or 3-4-2-1. Juve play a 3-4-2-1. Dortmund play it. Napoli play it. And Leverkusen play it. Every other fucking team in the Champions League have 4 at the back and a combination of either 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. So you're looking here at something, and this is the bit that I was trying to get my head around because we know how conservative and Tory the board are. They don't take risks. But what we do know by repute is that this is the first time that Desmond did not appoint the manager. Desmond's appointee said, "You can fuck off. I'm all right here. I'm all right here managing another team in hoops," and we'll leave it at that. So this is, I think I called it a while ago, pound shop money. We're in pound shop moneyball land now. We have a useless CEO, a useless CFO, a fucking head of football operations that hasn't a clue what he's doing, but he's probably good on theory. And it looks like we've hired a good guy on theory. Now, if 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, call it whatever the fuck you want, is to become the new innovative way to get rid of the horseshoe of death and go to the dildo and balls of death, but you need effective players to do it. We have literally just painted ourselves into a corner for two things. One, he's an apprentice now. He's learning his job. Should never have got it. Two, as much as the board will back him, he's not going to get half of what he needs in January. And three, you probably don't want him to get half of what he needs in January, because if the whole thing fucking blows up, who wants an MLS wing whack that we paid over the odds for? Nobody. So the thing is, he's not going to get ball playing centre halves because he's got Carter Vickers long-term injured. He's not going to get a winger because he doesn't like wingers anyway, but Jota's long-term injured. He's not going to get a centre forward because Iheanacho's on the books, and Iheanacho's clearly unfit but effective. So as you go down through each one of the things that this guy wants, and you go down through this fucking madness of structure, the only saving grace I can give him is that he's treating this like a pre-season, because he's been given a guarantee that he's going to be all right. Otherwise, all the things that we're flagging are true, and we've literally hired a clown. And I hope they got him wrong. Sorry.
So do I.
No, I think
That's
there's
kind of horrible. But, if he's treating this like a pre-season,
well, what else would you do?
Where are we going to be in a few months?
But what else can he do?
What else can start again? What I wanted to say was when Hector put on the WhatsApp group that even if this works, even if it turns out we've found a gem, that we've found a guy with a way of playing football and getting in players to believe in him, and it works, he's going to get scooped up in 12 months, 18 months, which means we've got to start again.
It's crazy.
Somebody hasn't put any thought into this.
Again, that's nothing new, is it? Some of us were prepared for Anne's leaving after 2 seasons. Let's not forget.
It's a shape though, Desi. It's a rebuild of the team again.
No, Hector, I totally understand that it's a total disaster, but I don't think it's something we need to dwell on at the moment, because we don't even know if he'll get. I honestly think if he struggles between now and the Huns game.
Let's come to that. Let's save that to the end. Let's save that
exactly. But I just want to circle back, because I've got something to pick up with Ralph, because I really want to I don't want to miss this, so to speak, Ralph. And it was the fact that the Green Brigade had their ban extended, right? So the first 6 rows blocked out, etc. And all that, the minutes were, the Fairhurst meeting, and the minutes were published, and it's this damning on Mr. Nicholson. Let's just say that. That's out there for everybody to see. But then we had, Ralph, fan media banned from the press conference today. And you, Ralph, noted that's significant. Means the board are closing ranks and they have no faith in Nancy being media savvy. Third manager before Christmas, and while we'll give him a chance, the board aren't taking any. I've got a real bad feeling about this. Not the manager, the club. So, Ralph, all the good things that Don Mackay seemed to put in, relationship builder, etc., and biscuit tin opener, we seem to be totally closing that door. Fight.
As you guys remember, I sat down with Lowell years back, and I've spoken to him, and he's sharp enough. You don't get to where you are without being sharp. However, he had this vision of going to England and getting into the Premier League, which was never going to happen. The police would never allow it. I pointed that out to him. They clearly never thought of that. You've no idea how quick I was ushered out of the room after that. But Lowell isn't in charge anymore. There's a section of the support that think he is. He's away now. He's done his bit. You've Nicholson in charge.
Do
And
you think
Nicholson
Nicholson
is...
think it's Ross Desmond in charge?
Well, Nicholson's the CEO.
Is he?
Money and
Is
I
he?
will talk about
he?
how if a business runs the way it should do and somebody makes a mistake, they need to suffer. That'll come later. But for the moment, Nicholson should not be in that position. He's done nothing to show that he's capable of it. He's done nothing to show that he's learning as he goes along. And my own interaction with him years back during Resolution 12 days shows that he's just another fucking idiot. So let's go back to
the only thing that Nicholson, like, and I'm not personalising it to the guy. There's a clear set of skills that people in certain fucking roles have, right? And a lawyer, by and large, they're not much fucking crack. They're not exactly the most creative types. They're not exactly the life and fucking soul of the party, nor are they most inspirational, unless they're in a legal setting where they can put their fucking really brilliant brains to use. No disrespect to a really good friend of mine in Belfast, Jimmy Margot, who is actually the opposite, but he's a part. The point is that personality type creates a particular type of organization. Everything flows from the direction and the leadership of the CEO. So you look at it, and we can apply this to football, you can apply it to your own jobs, you can apply it to everything else.
Or politics, indeed.
And anything. Everyone reflects the person above them. You can't fucking help it. It's in your fucking head. Back to my confirmation bias, fucking human behavior type nonsense. So Nicholson is someone who is detail oriented and litigious, and that's his speciality. And what the fuck are we doing right now? We're tackling our own fan base litigiously. We're liaising supposedly with Police Scotland to victimise some of our fan base litigiously. We're really fucking good at throwing out statement clocks that are borderline slander against an elite manager. And we're doing that. And we've got good money in the bank. And we've all of this other shit. Ping there just went bingo. All of this other shit that is nothing to do with trying to grow a football. And that is a reflection of the person.
That means, yeah, exactly. That means we're kind of losing the point of what we are.
Yeah, we're a football
club.
Down
that personality, yeah.
Right, okay, right.
And sorry, just to round out the point, because I know I'm rambling a wee bit, but to round out the point, it's not a personal thing to him, but that fucker will make it personal. And what I mean by that is he will tell the story that it's personal. It's already happening. They will tell the story that this is being personalised to the Mackays and the Lawls and the Nicholsons when it's not. The target of this is fucking incompetence. And if that's the message, then they need to get the fuck. And someone else who's capable, who could probably do it for a quarter of the money, can come in and do it. But ironically, they've tried to do that now with a manager. And the spotlight's on a guy who, at the minute, looks completely incapable of doing it. But they got him for a quarter of the price of Brent.
Yeah.
This is the shit that we're dealing with.
Just to tie that in, right? My suspicion is I think Ross Desmond's pulling all of the strings, to be honest, right? But this we're talking about a CEO there. It just made me think of Jeremy Irons in the marvellous Margin Call movie. And there's a bit in it, he's basically playing the head of an investment bank who's about to dump all the shit on everybody else. And he says, his speech is, as a CEO, I'm here for one reason and one reason alone. I'm here to guess what the music might do a week, a month, a year from now. That's it, nothing more. And standing here tonight, I'm afraid I don't hear a thing, just silence. And I think that's a nice picture of Celtic, right, at the moment. Right. So we've removed the fans for the press conference, which was allowing people to feel
and the women's
yeah. Perfect. Yeah. I can't not so happy.
They didn't say that. What they said was it was under review. They've not said you're banned. They said we're reconsidering, etc. Of course they're banned. Right. They don't like awkward questions.
Right. So before we go on to yesterday, the cup final, I have a quiz. Right. I have a quiz here. Let's try and lighten the mood here. Right. So try and pause a little so the four listeners get a chance to answer. So we have 12 quotes here, and I want you to tell me. Let's play Nancy or non-say, right? So Wilfried Nancy either said this or he did not say it, right? So you understand, I'll read you the quote and you tell me, is it Nancy or non-say, right? So Hector, let's start with you. Pick a number between 1 and 12. And I'd just like to say to the listeners, the guys in the party, they have no idea this was coming. I like to surprise them with these things. So Hector, what's your number?
Number 9, a good striker, Desi.
Number 7?
Number 9.
Number 9. You got the number 9? I would have went for number 7 myself, right? You ready? I will never be an underdog. Never. Never in my life. I don't know this word. I hate this word. Nancy or non-say?
Nancy.
Well done. Nancy said that. Well done. Well done. Monty, round to you.
He did.
He did. Nancy said that. Monty, round to you. Pick a number between 1 and 12.
8.
8. Item 1. A cheery disposition. I am never cross.
Nancy.
Nancy or non-say?
Nancy.
Non-say. That was from Mary Poppins. All right.
Can we hire her?
Is she available? Would Nicky Hayden bring her in as his number 2?
Okay, Ralph. Number between 1 and 12.
Say 1.
Number 1. If you want to land a good job, you have to know what most employers want, like how to motivate yourself, how to lead others, how to perform under pressure. Nancy or non-say?
There's no chance that idiot said that.
Correct. That was from Boys in the Hood. Well done. So Hector, back to you.
Number 7, Desi.
Number 7. Well done. Okay, let me see. Because that was about. Okay, let me see. The way I see football, it's a connection with the way I live. It's a way of life.
Nancy.
Correct. The first part of that was the story of Celtic fits perfectly with the person that I am and who I want to become. That's fine. Well done. So, Monty, back to you.
10.
10. Okay. It requires patience, temperance, a lot of sweating out. Otherwise, though, it's just hard work. Nancy or non-say?
Non-say.
Correct. That's from Psycho, 1960. Well, you're picking them out, right, Monty? Ralph?
6.
Number 6, Ralph. So that's all happened to me today. I learned the hard way. Actually, it was a good learning experience for me.
He hasn't said it yet, but he might say it after the Dundee United game.
Correct.
No,
that was correct. Well done. That was from my cousin Vinny. Well done. Okay, Hector, you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, 12.
5.
5. For every big mistake you make, be grateful. That mistake you'll never make again.
Nancy.
Nancy or non-say?
Nancy.
Correct. That's from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Well done, Hector. There, well done. Monty, 2, 3, 4, 11, 12.
I'll go with 11.
Okay. I do this job as a coach to feel emotions and to give them.
That's Nancy.
Well done, man. Wilfried on his philosophy. Well done. That's number 11. Ralph, 2, 3, 4,
5.
12. 2, 3, 4, 12. Well done, Ralph.
4.
I believe
4
my
then.
number 1 goal isn't to win, but to entertain.
Oh, that's definitely that fucking clown.
Correct. Well done. That's Nancy on his primary objective. Well done. Right, Hector. 2, 3, or 12.
3.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
He wouldn't say that, would he? No.
Well done. That was actually from Star Wars 4: A New Hope. But Nancy did say, "I don't believe in luck. I believe that when you work hard, luck comes." Okay, well done. So Monty, you've got 2 or 11, 2 or 12.
I'll go with 2, Desi.
Well done. You like this one because I know you love this quote. I don't consider myself as a boss. I am a leader. And for me, the definition of leader is to put a good environment to help and to give the possibility to the people that I work with to express themselves.
That's Wilf. That's Nancy.
That's it. Did you get the tattoo? You were talking about getting a tattoo on your back. Did you get it? Nice. Okay, so final quote for Ralph. Number 12, Ralph. I have to be confident, but I also have to be open-minded.
I don't know. Keir Starmer. Actually, that sounds like the sort of thing he'd say.
Correct.
It really does.
That was Wilfried Nancy on taking up the challenge at Celtic. The two quotes I didn't include, but I found them later on, was I don't promise to forget the mystery brackets of Celtic, but I know I'll have a marvellous time here. That was when he joined Celtic. And then the perfect one, which I just know would have Hector sitting puppies. The key part of winning is never lose before you actually lose.
Do you know
let me read that. Let me read it fully. The key part of winning is never lose before you actually lose something, because this way you will always get a chance to win for yourself.
It can't be a stand-up comic.
Nice. Exactly. So that's nice.
Is he talking about his credibility?
So that's the first and the last ever game of Nancy or Nancy.
Yeah.
I hope everyone enjoyed it at home. Right, so we're moving on to Sunday, the big Sunday. So the big news for everyone listening, and my apologies to Gerardo, the Etims Hampden car park was once again full. It had been fully booked. It was a great day when we were meeting the black and white of St Mirren. Hector had managed to once again claim a spot at the Etims car park after somehow Monty stole it the last time. The Scottish Cup final, his last glory hunting gig, remember, where we also get beat. But the thing was, so Hector managed to get in. Hector, you turned up at my door just before the game. You came in, we're all sitting pre-game. And my words to you, Hector, were, have you heard this? Have you heard the lineup? And Hector, I've written here, you said, Nygren dropped. And I said, correct. Who else? And then I've just got ... Would you like to tell the listeners what happened, Hector, when during those ...
So you knew the team. I obviously didn't. And you had that look in your face that, oh, you're going to be surprised when you hear this team, right? But you weren't giving anything away. And I thought, well, Nygren's an obvious one because of how poor he was in the first half against Roma in particular in midweek, right? Then I thought, well, hold on a minute. I know it was Roma at a canter. We made the changes at half time. Roma took their foot off the gas the second half. We know that. But at the same time, we had a semblance of a shape-ish in the second half. So I thought, right, so if Nygren's out, is he going to keep that four in midfield? So that was, who was the four in the second half? I thought McGregor, it was Hatate, Bernardo and Engels. So I thought, so is Bernardo in? And you went, no. And I went,
we've got a pantomime.
Right.
No.
So Nygren's out. So process elimination, is McKinnon in? No. Then we started really scratching the head and going, wait a fucking minute.
No, I think the puzzler for you was when I said, where is the real problems in this side? To which point you were in every position before we actually got to a right-sided defender. That was ultimately where we landed, right? So where were we when we got to that point?
Right-sided defender. And we went, right. So right at the back three. So we're thinking three left centre-backs, Tierney went off at half-time. But Tierney starting, you said to me, I went, Tierney starting? Then, wait a minute, Donovan? No. Then you said the immortal words, and I went, it's no Ralston, is it? And you went, yes. And I was, that look of fucking...
Right. Can I just say here, right, because I've written this down here. This is for everyone. I'd just like, tying in with the movie theme, I wrote here, cue Hector as Brad Pitt in Seven. Who's in the box? Who's in the box? And all you kept saying was, but where's he playing? Where's he playing? you could not fathom out how that formation was going to work and where the players, you would make through that whole team trying to basically place players on the pitch.
Yeah, Tierney, because Ralston was playing, I thought, well, Tierney must be left wing back, right? Process elimination. Oh, wait a minute. He's not going to 4 at the back, is he?
That's it.
Is he going to 4 at the back? That
Has he
would
learned
make
a lesson?
sense.
Hallelujah.
That would make sense. He's going to 4 at the back.
Curtin Schmeichel.
Tareki's back out in the wing again, and Maeda, but Iheanacho's playing. So there's your three. Then your 3 mid would be Rio, Kalmak, Rana.
Mm-hmm.
That, I thought, is he actually going to go 4-3-3? Has he woke up? Has he realised? Then we go to the fucking...
And then the announcement, no, Ralston's in the back 3. That is just the formation. Wait and see the animation. He came up with that word, animation. That was a good one.
Oh, no.
And then Q Bedlam.
Oh.
So the whole point of this, Monty, was right. So Hector Muir's resident tactician, he could not fathom out how that team was going to line up and fit together. And my immediate question, and the company that we had yesterday was, if we don't know, can we be confident, Monty, that the players know? And it turns out, can we confidently say, no, they don't? They didn't actually know how it meant to work.
I think the giveaway and the post-mortem of the players was scales. If you can excuse the pun of the giveaway being scales.
Dinky scales.
Yeah, in his questions, he was asked about, the what's going on, and he started with if. His comment was, if the manager is wedded to this system, then we, the players, need to buy in. And what's completely inherent in that statement is that they haven't bought in, and they're not quite sure what the manager's system is or whether they're accepting of it. And I think, Desi, all the chopping and the changing, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I have no doubt that this guy, that Wilf, is using this as essentially a preseason to get to see his players, to see who's capable of what in his system and in his structures. But it doesn't. We know we're going to come on to the game, but it's just fucking chaos, Desi. And these are professional footballers. Anybody, as good as Robinson is and as good as St Mirren is, anybody can pick the flaws out in that has a modicum of understanding of football. An entire defence stand on a halfway line with huge gaps left and right. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on, it's not hard. So, yeah, Desi, I think the players are a combination of confused. But then again, they're human. This is their 3rd set of instructions in 3 months. They just got used to they were used to the first one, but had got stale. They just got used to the 2nd set of instructions and were enjoying it.
But the second weren't that much different from the first. It was minor tweaks, the second one.
Whatever had happened there, Desi, whatever way, as you said, O'Neill made 2 changes, get the ball up quicker. And the number 10, just that wee bit more, let's not horseshoe at the
And
death.
Defenders defend. Martin being simplistic and effective.
Yeah, remember, it was also skip the middle guy out with a pass. That was mainly, it was trusty to the wing back rather than through scales and vice versa. I mean, like that, I just say get the ball quicker up the park.
The thing that is really grating me around it is that, and it was obvious in the Roma match, and then we were doing it again on Sunday. This notion of keep the ball, and then Schmeichel would put a lob wedge, 30 yards over the heads of them, and then there'd be. I could have fucking coached that at under 16 and been more effective against it. It's not. I really fear, Desi, that the players have down tools, and I know there's all sorts of bullshit rumours, but these are professional players on millions a year. Get your finger out of your fucking ass and do what your boss is telling you. I have no sympathy for them, other than have an understanding as to why they might be down tools.
We've touched on this a lot over the years. The old nice to quote, I think it was John Huston, actors are like cattle kind of idea, like the director directs, the manager manages, and football players by and large are not the most intelligent people. And I don't mean that, I'm not being disrespectful. I mean, they're skilled, they've got a different skill set, they've got a physical, mental skill set, the coordination, etc. But when it comes to actually like thinking things out and planning things, that's not their job. Their job is to follow orders, for want of a better word, follow tactics. So they do take direction. And I never even touched on whiteboard gate Ralph, for the Hearts game when he brings out the whiteboard and people start to slag him. You see Derek McInnes looking over to see where the wee markers are. But I've just noted here, Ralph, 1 minute down, we were after 1 minute gone, we were 1 goal down. But 3 games, 3 corners, 3 goals conceded, Ralph. We're consistent under Wilfried, at least.
It wasn't so much that. It was the fact that he'd pulled out the board and he'd pulled over a very experienced footballer to tell him what he wants him to do. And he's showing the board. And Derek McInnes stood behind him, having a wee look. It's just so amateurish, so ridiculous. I was talking to a couple of former EPL players at the weekend there, and I says to them, I was talking about Wilf, and they said they both played under a guy called Tony Pulis. They were just told what they had to do. They went out, they'd done it, and they made their money, they made their careers, which, let's be honest, one of them was an international, the other one wasn't. Just do what you have to do. If the boss says to you, go and do that, go and do it. If you disagree with him and you're somebody like Callum McGregor or Kieran Tierney, then tell him so and tell him why. This is the shit show that's happening. We've got experienced players that are being told by somebody that has no experience whatsoever in the European game, never mind the Scottish game, never mind the Goldfish Bowl of Glasgow. He's telling them he wants something to do with that, and they're like, oh, Jesus.
Can I add an important point, Ralph? You and Monty's there, no disputing that. The manager manages, gives the instructions. I mentioned watching these media conferences, and at times it's difficult to pick up in some of what he's saying. So the caveat for me would be, what about if his instructions aren't clear? And the players, you know what players are like? They don't want to undermine a manager. He's maybe got them together, 20 of them together, squad of 2018, whatever, and he's saying something. But players are young guys. They're under, in effect, the early 20s, mid-20s. In our work, they're just wee boys, in an office somewhere, right? And to put the horn up and go, I'm not quite clear what you're saying there. It may be a case that they're not all clear in what how many coaches are saying to them. And if they are asking again, and he tells them again, they still don't pick it up. Nobody likes to put a hand up a second time and say, I still don't get. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
I think there's a combination of things that might be the communication bit for me.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe a part of the challenge right now.
That's a very good point, because I used to actually chuck people 20, 30 quid to ask stupid questions if I was doing a kind of meeting. But should the director of football, the sporting director, have not have thought of that before he hired the guy in the first place?
Would you not expect, and again I keep banging this drum, would you not maybe expect your Gavin Stratton to be helping with that sort of thing?
Oh, Jesus.
You've got a thing with Gavin
Steve,
Stratton,
we were
Desi, has
having
to be
a
said,
sensible
right?
I'll tell you the thing I've got with Gavin Stratton. Gavin Stratton was a board appointment. Gavin Stratton was no hired by a manager. He wasn't brought in by Neil Lennon. He was fostered on Neil Lennon. So he's a board appointment, and that's what gets me about it. It's not a clean room. It's not let's have a totally new approach.
Was there not a point where did Wilfried not turn to Gavin and ask him something during the game? I don't know, maybe what time the next bus was to get him out of there. But he actually turned round and asked him something. And it's like, you've got Gavin Strachan, was it Peterborough maybe? You've got Peter Tisdall, Paul Tisdall.
Hold on, right.
He was at Exeter. And
Steve Desi's point, right? And Steve Desi was right in the board appoint him, right? Let's go with that for now, right? And if he did appoint him and Lennon's with him, Lennon goes, Ange comes in. Ange's got a big personality, right? As we all know. Did it himself. He came halfway around the world on his own. Did it himself. I'm in control. If Ange didn't want Gavin Stratton, didn't rate him, I think Ange been quick getting rid of him. Rodgers, we know what his personality's like. We know what his personality's like, Desi. Right? Takes no prisoners as well. What I'm trying to say is, I think if he wasn't effective at his job, I think either Ange or Brendan would have made sure he wasn't doing that job.
very good, very good point, right?
That's a good point,
It ties in with Ralph mentioned, right? Because this was the talk we had earlier. Also, we're getting a wee bit off topic. We'll come back to it. You're Mr. Tisdale. He wasn't wanted with Brendan Rodgers, was he?
Well, that was part of the fall. That was part of the biggest issue we had at the club. But that was the issue, wasn't it? We're now seeing things through. We're now seeing things through a different lens. So Ralph, we're seeing things through a different lens now because of the events, right? And Tisdale fucking his eyes shut against Hearts and the fucking stand. What an optic that is. The guy's fucking lying there. He wasn't asleep clearly, but that was still there.
Resting his eyes.
But the point's this: what it's brought to light is, I think there was this wrong idea that Brendan had brought Tisdale in when it wasn't further for the truth. That was the big issue.
I can't imagine that for a minute. I can't imagine that for a minute.
No faith in Tisdale's judgment of scouting players, and that was one of the biggest problems at the club.
Well, if you look at what we spent, 30-40 million pound on players, Brendan I'd like to think, and I'm kind of coming round to his way of thinking now. I know I've been critical of him and everything else, but he must maybe have that wee old school thing in him where he wants to see a player or know something about a player, but he's been offered like a civil service thing. You've got choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. 1 and 2 are pretty much the same, and 3 is like a one-legged Welsh sheep or something. And I think he reacted against it. I think genuinely he had a go at them, and they kind of grass to the teacher before he got a chance to get his tuppence worth in. And he's just went, you know what, it's not worth it. And John Kennedy walking out kind of backs my wee theory.
We said this the last podcast. Kennedy was at the same meeting as Brendan, right? Brendan had called it and to bring unity to the end of the season. And it became a fight with Nicholson and became a fight with Mackay. And Kennedy walked out with Brendan that night. Well, fuck yous, I'm resigning, fuck yous. But the thing was, all of this, we're going to come to St Mirren, finish the game off. All of this stems back to, it was the January window there. But even before that, see, last summer, when remember we'd signed nobody all the way up until the final couple of days of the window, right? Then Law outside the way to St Mirren of all places, Law and Nicholson were confronted with a couple of supporters giving them dogs abuse. And within 48 hours, we spent the best part of £25 million, right? Now, we'd already got automatic qualification to the Champions League, so probably less of a risk then. But in terms of building a team, you want, maybe not all of them, but at least 2 or 3 key players in for pre-season, right? Then we get to January, and we're having a really good season. End up being a great season overall. Obviously losing the cup final, but overall, Europe respectability. But Kyogo's fucking sold. And we're about to play Bayern. We didn't get a striker in. And let's get back to the conference. I told you I watched them all the time. Rodgers was playing the game. You could see he was fucking raging, right? Then we go to the summer and we sell Kuhn. We know. So we downgraded over the course of 2 windows there. And I think the issue, sorry, I promise I'll be very quick.
No,
I think the issue with Rodgers is he was scunnered. He'd had enough, he was scunnered, right? And we've always been the same as, we know with Rodgers, he's at his best when he's full of shite. His balls are out, the ego's at play, I'm the man, he puts the wee lines out about how we're going to do this to a team, or Rangers haven't been through this before. He plays mind games. That had gone this summer. He was so subdued and fucking down because he had a chance to push on for once in a generation. For Martin O'Neill for that time, the first time round, to push on in Europe. This was our chance with all that money. And I think he was scunnered. And it was right that he's no longer there. It couldn't work anymore. That's fine. But I think what it's now looking back is Tisdale, appointed by the board, appointed by Desmond. He's got his metrics. There'll be ones that Desmond say to him, no player under this or over this amount, no wage above this. He's going to get players. Say to Rodgers, and Rodgers is going, are you fucking daft? You want me to fucking play 2 guys for Japan that I've never fucking kicked a ball before, who haven't kicked a ball under Martin O'Neill either, by the way, right? In the summer, you want me to sign them? I've got £70 fucking million in the bank that I've brought in most of it, and you're selling fucking Kuhn. So he's went mental, and I think it was right that he went, but now it's left us the position we're in now, a fucking disaster zone.
But do you remember a couple of podcasts back, or maybe 5-6 we knew Kuhn wanted away. We knew certain players wanted away. And at that point, but at that point, plans should have been made to replace him with similar quality.
We've been saying
Not with
this for 10 years. Where's the forward planning?
Yeah, not with similar like a project. And I have a feeling that your man Tisdale thinks, well, look, we signed a couple of Japanese players and they done well, and we signed a boy O'Reilly and we made money on him. So what we'll do is we'll just sign similar players. And he presented them to Brendan. Brendan went, no, it doesn't work like that. You don't know anything about football. And he doesn't. Whatever way you look at it, he spent his entire career in the lower English leagues, and yet all of a sudden he's in charge of deals worth tens of millions of pounds.
How can you possibly say that Dr. Football has no idea about football? How can you say that?
Yes, and don't forget, Michael Nicholson has said we're going to spend on analytics. So clearly we don't spend enough on them right now. We're going to spend on analytics. That will probably be an intern job going very soon for somebody. And they're going to fully back the manager. But this to drag it back, Monty, to yesterday, right? We're 1-0 down. I've got a note here. I was going to affect the cover this, but he's mentioned already. We'll get Scales playing at the back, but he's rampaging down the left wing. And then Tanecki now playing wing back. Real equalises, Monty. And for a wee 10-minute period, it actually looked as though focusing on your main advantage of your classy midfielder, attacking midfielders, might work, Monty, and then Iheanacho gets injured, and everything, in my opinion, everything collapsed. And the whole game plan collapsed.
Everything. And the thing was, there was that a 10-15 minute period after Hatate, scored a great goal, where we fucking looked electric. We didn't score. Same with Roma. We had a patch where we looked really, really good, didn't score. Same with Hearts, didn't score. And you're back to the same feelings that we've just kind of got heated about. You sell Kuhn, all the things that Brent said, you just sold 100 goals and loads of pace, and you're not replacing them. And that's ultimately, the fucking stupidity of this. Just give Rodgers the 2 players or the 3 players that he wanted, and none of this would have happened. So, and the thing is, as I started with earlier, he's not going to get a top level striker because there's already one here. He just happens to be injured, so make do with your squad. We might get a couple of boys out of the MLS. There's talk of that guy Rossi that's at Columbus, but should they paid, or the Palestinian fella, but should they paid fucking 10 million for him?
Yeah.
Are we going to take a punt on a 10 or 12 million pound striker from the MLS? Are we? Fuck. So, yeah,
we might.
Engels looked like he wanted
a Palestinian guy for PR, and that's it.
Yeah,
and that's brutal for the player. That's brutal. That's a lot of pressure.
I think there's more chance. Apologies, Monty. I think there's probably more chance that they wouldn't, because he's for Palestine. To be brutally honest, to avoid even having any more potential Palestine flags at Celtic Park. To be brutally honest.
But the midfield, I had to say, Engels, since he's got a little bit angry under O'Neill, started to come on again. Hatate looked reinvigorated again. Midfield doesn't seem to be the problem anymore, where we might have thought it was a bit ponderous and we're all off it. I thought Bernardo was unlucky to start as well. But your point, Desi, on Iheanacho going, Johnny Kennedy just showed that he's a 20-year-old footballer learning his trade. Yeah. Iheanacho showed that he was a 30 million pound striker at the top of his game. We have nothing in between. And all this is so fucking avoidable. It would suck the life out of you just thinking about it, never mind talking about it. All so avoidable. With a bit of proper, competent direction and executive management.
That's a bit there. You're talking about Iheanacho. He still doesn't come for the ball. He still waits. He still hesitates. He's not ever going to be the solution to any problem we have.
I think he's a really good focal point for an attack. He holds the ball up well. He brings people in. The things that Johnny Kennedy needs to put another stone of muscle on him to be able to do. He don't have.
And a touch.
No. The only thing I liked about him, when he went off and he hurt his hamstring, he gave Johnny Kenny a big pat on the back and says, "Come on, Johnny." and he
Really a
slammed
winner.
the door on the way out. This is his last chance to actually prove he can play football. And what's he done? One penalty and maybe one goal? No, he's not the answer. That's how bad it's got under Wilf, that we're looking to him as a solution.
No, well,
On you
well,
go.
actually, we'll come to that very topic very soon. Hector?
I just wanted to see just the game yesterday, and this is just we spoke about his media conference before the Hearts game. Very subtle. We change at a time. Ripped it up 40 hours later against Hearts. Tore apart. Changes against Roma. Then the team confusion yesterday. So just on yesterday, I just wanted to just run this by you guys, right? So the game, I was at the game started, and I'm going, right, let's work this out. So Taneki's never played right wing back before. Starts him at right wing back for the first time yesterday, right? Tony Ralston's never started at three, right? Never started very often recently. Right centre back of a three. Ralston's never. I think he came on for 15 minutes before Donovan took his place during the week, and they moved out to right wing back for the last 20 minutes, which is other fucking massive changes yet again. He started a new position. Dyson Maeder's never played as a number 10 supporting the striker across the midfield in his career, right?
Yep.
There's three big changes, as well as not continuing with the midfield four who did well in the second half against the Roma, took the foot off the gas, right? So there's the whole fucking pick a number, throw them up in the air and see where they land. Or throw off darts at the board and see if they stick, right? So hold on, but that's the good bit. That's the good bit, right? The bit for me, and it's important just to say, we're on each at half time. We're at the game. We're going to hopefully push on. As the second half progressed, and obviously St Mirren 2-1 up, and the subs were starting to get made. This is when the fans were in about me. It was a mixture of all age groups. Turned in the manager yesterday. What the fuck's he doing? Number one, when Tierney was getting subbed. Now, we thought Tierney was playing well, but we didn't know if he was injured. That might have been the case. But he's over talking to Wilf for what feels an eternity, maybe in 30 seconds, but it feels that during the match, maybe a minute. Then eventually, is he gone off? No, he's coming back on. No, but he's fucking off now, right? Who's coming on? Luke McCowan comes on to play left wing back for the first time in his career to replace Kieran Tierney, rather than Yang, who's played wing back before, or Tuneki, back to left wing back, where he played the last two games for Wilf. So there's another one that's come on. So Jamesy comes on for Tuneki. Jamesy's first game in quite some time at right wing back. Jamesy gets between 5 and 10 minutes at right wing back. Then Jamesy is played in centre midfield, possibly for the first time in his career yesterday.
He's
right?
done a number 10 before. I mind
but he was
European game.
he was fairly deep in midfield yesterday, right? Well, Arne Engels, right in front of us, was about to take an in-swinging corner, which Engels, even he's not played his best, one of his best attributes is taking a corner kick. The wind was right swinging into that keeper. He's about to take the corner kick, and the subboard comes up.
Yeah.
And we're all looking at each other going, and you see Engels. Now, you might not catch this in the camera. Talk about a guy's whole body just collapsing in front of you, head down, shoulders down.
Like, what do I do?
So the fans were going, the anger was getting more and more and more, right? And it got to the point where Liam Skills is playing pretty much anywhere bar the fence, where, to be fair to him and Trusty, they've done pretty well defensively under Martin O'Neill in the last number of weeks. He's now playing almost at their penalty box, right? Leaving 1v1 at the back against a St Mirren team who get followed by numbers. Then you've got Kalmak. Kalmak playing at centre half, centre mid, number 8, as well as pulling Kalmak over about 3 times to give instructions with a notepad. It was chaos. The second half from the manager yesterday was the most chaotic, and we lose track of coaches before. I think Ralph had mentioned probably Mowbray's time, but it felt like a mixture of John Barnes 4-2-2, where the players were totally fucked with that, with quality players with at the time, and Tony Mowbray. It felt like that, but if anything, a bit worse. The confusion that was caused, and then the fans turned. Not all of them. They were, get to fuck, you're fucking useless, on the manager yesterday, run about us.
That's what I couldn't figure out. before the game, we laughing a joke with my daughter, and I'm saying, right, at what point in the game am I going to say, fuck's sake, at the first time? And she texted me, she went, you didn't say 90 seconds. And from that on, it's like the whole thing was falling apart. I'm trying to watch, obviously on the telly, what the manager's doing, what the players are doing. I'm watching the body language. And it all comes back to the basic thing. If you're managing people, you manage them. You don't tell them what to do if they can't do it. You don't tell them that you need this from them if they can't do it. You don't chuck them into a job that they can't do. You just say to them, look, carry on doing what you're doing, and if we can improve later, do it. Honestly, if I was interviewing him, I would question if he'd ever been involved, not as a football manager, but even in football before.
I would make Callum McGregor the play manager right now instead of Wilf as the manager. Which I would never do. I'd never want a play manager. But if that was the choice I had right now between Wilf or Calmac, I would say, Calmac, you become the play manager for a few weeks. I'd rather have Matt O'Neill back in with Sean Maloney. But see, if it's that's where we are.
I'd get Sean Maloney in there tomorrow if I could.
That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was yesterday.
It's not that. It's like the play. See back maybe 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago, Tommy Boyd would have got him by the throat and chucked him out the way and says, I'm doing this. Roy Aitken, Scott Brown, Billy McNeil, Davy Hay, they would have just said, look, you're a fucking idiot, get out of here. But we haven't got that now. We're a PLC. Seriously, there's not a single Celtic captain of the past, and Cal should be doing that. He should be getting in there and saying, right, listen, you've lost it.
Well, by all intended rumours,
I believe there was a meeting last Friday. Yeah.
Right. But let's this to wind this up. Right. This to go back to Mike from Sun in New Zealand. Before the game, he pinged up Monty. Normally, I'd be excited about a cup final, but this week all I can see is Rafe Rovers' level of humiliation. Absolutely no faith in Nancy, which is shocking. I'm usually a half full, give him some kind of chance supporter, but that's where we are at. So it's also unnecessary. Not one thing on his CV says he's a fit for Celtic. I could see this from here before the appointment. What the actual fuck can the board see? Football is only attractive if you're winning. So Monty, as our residential finance expert, you're a board member. You've just sold out a game against Roma. Have you ticked all your boxes so far? Do you really mind?
I think we've said it a few times now, and quite cynically, I know I have. Like, they know they've got a captive audience. Like, what the fuck are you going to do? You going to go watch Wraith? You going to go watch, ironically, Partick Thistle or St Mirren? Nah. So the disdain in which they're treating the support or the customer base is this counterproductive sort of output of the fact that you're going to turn up anyway. It's almost like a fucking abusive relationship. It's like Stockholm Syndrome, Desi. Mm-hmm. That you're being abused, but you'll fucking go back to it. It's mental stuff altogether. I think the more they're being found out, because people are just more informed now than they were during the Kellys and the Whites dynasty. People are a lot more intelligent and have an idea around expectations and what way things should be run. I think the more that they get found out, the uglier they're going to get, the more disdainful towards the support they're going to get. There's like I think I put it up empirically, like all empires collapse, and this is the end of our empire of the last 20 years. The fucking bizarre.
They always collapse from within.
Yep, and they always fall down from within, and they all fall down in the same thing, typically fucking greed and overextension. We certainly haven't overextended, but we've got people being paid at least 4 times as much as they should, and they're never leaving until their boots are completely filled and they can go. So we're caught. The board is doing its job by the metrics that are set by it and for it. The executive team, should I say, are performing based on the metrics that the board set. Remember, we upgraded the chairman's remuneration times 4, I think, from 30 grand to 120 grand. Still going to the same amount of meetings. He's the guy that sets the parameters for the CEO. He's the guy who appointed the CEO.
But
We're in
he has to
death mode now.
orchestrate the walkouts now. He has to orchestrate walkouts from the AGM, so he's got an added
Clearly.
task.
Clear, and you know that costs a lot of money for someone to be
Yes.
that disdainful towards the head of the Celtic Trust, wasn't it? That lady, you know?
Yep.
So
Yep.
we're in a real. If you think about where we were less than a fucking year ago,
4 months ago, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and where we are now, this is going to sound perverse given the state of what's across the city, but I would argue right now we are 6 months behind them now. And the reason I would argue that
because
just hear me-
we've allowed.
You hear me? Sorry, Ralph, it's just a wee delay. My apologies. I think I'll probably answer with the point that you were going to come to. They have stabilised. They have completely stabilised their nonsense. They brought a guy in, gave him a load of money to spend, brought in a load of fucking duffs, but also brought in loanees. So they don't have an option to rip it up and start again in January. So knowing that, they replaced that guy with the guy that they have now, who's a decent enough manager with decent enough players, and they will be settled by the time we enter full chaos. Because full chaos isn't here yet, but it's fucking coming. And the month of January is when we see utter chaos. Because they're either giving him players, but we're definitely losing players. We're going to lose the better players. And if Wilf is genuinely that not at the level, we're going to lose all the motivations of the better players that stay. So we're facing an absolute clusterfuck perfect storm, Desi.
Yeah. So
it's not just that. If I couldn't,
the Board of Fans would have brought in all their money. Utrecht, I think, is a home game. It'll probably sell out. Still got a chance to come through. And you know, it's the most exciting SPL race in a long time, but we'll be third by the middle of January. Welcome
to come back to what you're saying there about what they're doing, they've got rid of the idiots that were making decisions.
There you go.
And that's what we've not done. That's where I thought you were going with that.
No, we won't. That was kind of that was the headshot at the end. We will do it until such times as it's so fucked. The only thing to do is the thing that you should have done months, if not years ago, which is to strip.
Whereas they the American capitalist thing, and it's not working. Don't want it to get any worse, so we'll put a stop to it.
Yeah,
we're going to wait until we're going to wait until there's no alternative, and it'll be people covering their backs and covering their own jobs. Realistically, we
at 840 grand a year for a contract checker. He's never leaving. No fucking chance. 400 grand a year for a guy who was
back to the festive cheer thing.
Right, but I'm saying Rogers called it with sack of boards usually means the manager exits. Now we're evolved, so he's gone. Now the next sack of board will result in Tisdale exit. He'll be somebody a head has to roll. It always happens. It was Mark Lowell.
It has to be him.
A head has to roll.
He's the problem.
He's the easiest one to go. He does nothing. No one can actually tell you what Tisdale does. We have no idea what he does. We have no idea what his responsibilities and his achievements or non-achievements actually are at Celtic. We just know he's got a title, but we don't know what it actually means. So Hector, as our resident tactician, I know you've kind of voiced some of your thoughts there, but Paradise midweek, any confidence whatsoever?
None, because I don't know. I don't know what players he's going to pick. I think he's going to keep the same system. Don't know what players he's going to pick, what positions he's going to play them in. Lost 3 in a trot. We're getting steadily worse since the Hearts game. We're regressing at such a fast rate. I'd imagine players are scunnered with him. His head must be down. I'd imagine at least 1 or 2 on the board must have spoken to him since yesterday, either back at Celtic or something, right? So Tannadice is traditionally a hard place to grind out a win. Apart from that one game, we beat them 9-0 or something. Usually it's a fucking draw.
A wet Wednesday night in winter.
In fact, we won the league there. I take it back. We won the league there. Was it 5-0 back in April? Was it 5-0 at Tannadice we won? The league.
That was another season, mate. That was another time, another place.
That was only 6-7 months ago, right? But the thing is with Tannadice, they're not playing great at all. the problem is St Mirren haven't been playing great, and they
Neither
beat
were
us
Hearts.
easily. They
Neither
beat
were
us
Hearts,
easily.
remember.
Hearts were a really bad run. So you answer your question, little confidence that we'll win on Wednesday, but I would turn it around. My question I've got for all of you is this: there's not a chance he's getting sacked after 3 games. But see if we continue to either lose or not win, there's got to become a point. It can't continue for another 6 weeks where we maybe win 1 game in 6. What's the cut-off? What? Even we're talking about the board, no us. There has to be a cut-off point. What would that be?
For me,
No, but
the minute
it's
somebody
it's not
says,
you. No, but it's not you. It's not you. Hold on. It's not us 4. It's not the supporters.
Yeah.
It's the Celtic board we're talking about. Even for
At
them,
what
there's
point
got to
do
be a
they-
point. There's got
see,
to be.
the problem is if he gets sacked, then somebody else has to go with him. The guy that picked him has to go with him. So the guy that picked him will be desperately trying to find a reason to support him. 4 games, his first 4 games, defeats. Well, that has to be it. If it gets any worse than that, how can it get worse than that? Even 2 games was too many.
I think you get to the Huns game. I mentioned it at the start. You get to the Huns game, and at the start of the year, if we are no within 4 points of Hearts, I think there'll be a very big question that has to be asked. To be brutally honest, because
I can't understand why it's still a question. The guy has obviously never been in charge of a top level football club in his life.
But we've covered all that. What I'm trying to say is the now. Here we are now, right? He's come in, played 3, lost 3. We're getting worse, right?
Yeah.
The January window's upon us in 2 weeks or so time. We play
God,
Rangers
they're
in
going
the
to give him
second.
money.
We play Rangers the 2nd or 3rd to Desi's point, very first couple of days of January. But say we lose to United on Wednesday night at Tannadice. Then we've got Aberdeen at Celtic Park on Saturday, who are starting to find a bit of form. There's got realistically, there's got to be. We can't lose 5 games in a trot and he keeps a job. Surely that would be impossible.
See if he'd been here for 10 years and lost 5 games, he'd be out in his arse. Even 3 games would be surely.
Let's round this up. Monty, do you think Wilfried Nancy will still be the manager by the end of January? By the end of a January window, do you think Wilfried Nancy will still be the man?
Even if we keep losing games?
Yes.
Even if we keep losing games?
Yep. This is a long haul. This is a belligerent fuck you, plebs. You don't know what you're talking about. We're in the football industry. You're not. We've got the latest and greatest football doctor. He's called Dr. Football, and he's going to fucking create the vision of the world for us. And meanwhile, we've got all your money anyway, plebs. So we've made all our KPIs for the year. And what the fuck?
Celtic, Monty. This is Celtic. We don't lose. We don't lose 3 games.
Hector, this is how they think. It's not me saying it. This is how they think. It's not. I would prefer, and I've said this loads of times, I would prefer that every single member of the executive team at Celtic knew fucking nothing about Celtic and were just really good at their jobs. But the problem is these guys
pretend they know about Celtic,
with a fucking arrogance that they're a better Celtic fan than you. That's how they think. And we're stuck now. They won't fire him. The only way they fire him is, as you said, Desi, car park Rami after the Huns game. Because I'll tell you right now, and I've never bet, and I don't bet against Celtic, but on that one, I'd be putting a fucking lump on right now, and not on us. That's how bad we are football-wise. But PLC-wise, we're 100%.
And they're push.
Two tie-ins. I'd like to thank Monty for reminding me, Monty C. Burns, for reminding me with that statement there of the monorail episode of The Simpsons, where the city's in so much trouble, but the wily salesman the monorail idea, which causes a disaster. And of course,
can I just say, Monty, in case I forget, Merry Christmas.
My work here is done. Right, but I'm also looking at Twitter now, and kudos to Mr. Quintessential on Twitter, who put up the image of the Amity Mayor from George. Remember when he says the beaches are fine, everyone's enjoying themselves? But he's put up, as you can see, we play 3-4-3, and the people are having a wonderful time with the image of of the member, and that's basically the Celtic board right now. You know what I mean? So
But
there we go.
wait now, can I try and wrap this up a wee bit? Do you
Thanks,
think
Scott, if you can.
Dermot Desmond would allow any of his other companies to be run so badly? Do you
But
think
they're
he would
not,
allow?
this is the problem.
They're
They've
not
never
being
made games
run bad.
against Roma. They've just sold it again. They've probably made about £4 million in one game against Roma.
They're
So the
not
business
being
is
run
doing
bad.
fantastic.
Yeah, this PLC is fucking purring. It's the paradox of all paradoxes. As a company, as a fucking entity, this thing's taking every
But
corporate
sooner or
box.
later, sure, look, we did it 30 years ago. Sooner or later, the customer base is just going to crack and just say,
Well,
fuck it.
We did it under Ronnie Dowler, and they closed the top tier, but they're still there, and we won trophies. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying this because I think that way. I think the fucking opposite. I think we should all.
See the next podcast, can we cut him out?
Right.
He's
But-
making me
No.
miserable.
Oh, right,
I know
no,
you don't.
no,
There's
that's
just an
just-
ugly reality. Sorry,
You're
Desi.
right.
Sorry, Rob. There's an
Yeah,
ugly
but-
reality that until you face it, it sounds preposterous. It sounds insulting. It sounds, for fuck's sake, wise up. You can't say that, but it's a fucking reality, and you cannot escape that reality. And what I'm saying to you is, even if he continues, even if on the football side, unless there is absolute mass upheaval, as in Rami in the car park time, this isn't going to change. Desmond is the most belligerent fucker you'll probably ever meet in your life. He will triple down on this. Because remember, you're all a bunch of anti-establishment fuckers who contribute nothing to society.
Oh, wait now. I did hear that, mind you were talking about Robbie Keane. I did hear tonight from one of his friends that he turned it down because he wasn't getting paid enough.
Oh, there we
Which
go.
annoys the shit out of me because I put money on it.
Nice.
There you
Right.
go.
So,
There you
so I think we can say safely that the bottom line is the bottom line. It's not the goal line as far as Dermot is concerned, right? So we're just running short of time. So it'll be interesting to see. I honestly think the Huns game is going to be pivotal. I will be in sunny Tenerife watching it, so
No, the Dundee United
I might
game's
avoid
killer.
any broken glass flying my way. So that'll be. But I think it's going to be very interesting. And the fact that we have went from Martin O'Neill putting us in a position of kicking on from a Hearts team that were struggling. We could have really put a boot in their neck and then just caused a wee fight behind us while we kicked on, and it's all collapsed in 8 days. It's just unbelievable when you think how bad it's went. And I was in the give Nancy a chance. The guy seemed to talk well. It's not his fault. It's the board's fault for starting him in three really big games in a row. But as we talked about yesterday, Hector, you just can't see where it's going to improve. It's not like an Ange where you could see the inverted wingers were starting to get an idea or they were finding their man. There's nothing. There's no indicators that this is going to work, and we can't even tell what the team's going to be from a positive perspective in the next game. So you're not even got a settled squad formation idea of how the game's going to play out. And Jim Goodwin, I mean, he's going to be another Stephen Robinson going, get the ball in the channels and just rough them up because there's going to be big spaces.
Here's
So
the
it's
thing,
going-
Desi, right? He mentioned leadership. Just finished. This relates to the game tomorrow night. He mentioned he's not a manager, he's a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in sporting, elite sport, professional sport, leadership is the preparation they do, i.e. the training ground, right? Working in repetition and patterns of play. But what's unusual with sports leadership is the preparation is one thing, but they've got to have reactive leadership during the course of those 90 minutes or 80 minutes, right? So it's something that's quite a niche area in terms of management and leadership, as he calls it. But the thing is with him, if he showed proper leadership and we went to Tannadice and he stripped it back and went 4-3-3 with the team that Neil broadly had, right? And even if we struggled and we drew or whatever, I would have more respect then. I go, do you know what? He's actually not pig-headed with us getting thumped 3 games in the trot. He's went against what he really wants to do. He's going to strip it back a wee bit to 4-3-3, let the players do something they're familiar with. Then over the course of January, start to 1v1, bring a player in over the course of a month and buy yourself some time. I would respect that. See if he goes with the same 3-4-3 and throws the darts against the board and hopes some of them stick and we get beat again. I would get rid of him. after Wednesday night. And I'm one of the last people who wants to get rid of somebody after. So I like to give people a chance. But
nice,
but
nice,
that won't
nice.
happen. The board won't do that though. That won't happen.
Nice to have the Grinch back for Christmas there. Right, okay. What to close out? To close out, I've got a few shout outs and a notice about the next podcast. Right. So first of all, shout outs, a happy retirement to Peter Lawwell. Oh, sorry, no, hold on. That's the Fortin Hall.
All right, wait now. Sorry.
Santa list I'm reading here. Sorry. So okay, right. A happy retirement to Craig at Dr. Arthur CSC, one of our major listeners, and also a happy retirement to Kev Keenan and the Presswick Golf Boys CSC. So that's good. Where are we? A special congratulations to Stevie and Claire in Belfast, who get married recently. And this is a special. We had a request when I was over in Belfast at Stevie and Claire's wonderful wedding by Jason from Portadown, Monty, who asked, when am I getting a shout out on the Etims podcast? You promised me at the stag do. I apologise. And Stevie, the groom, came in immediately over and went, why the fuck are you giving him a shout out? He's a Hun bastard. So we're even attracting the Portadown Huns these days to the Etims podcast. So we are a podcast that covers all bases. So Jason from Portadown, this is for you. And Buffalo Bills, John Waddle was also at that wedding. Hector, I know you're a big Buffalo Bills fan. Boo, kind of thing. So
Eagles.
I know you're an Eagles man. So that was that. So, and also a special late shout out to Some Words to Jump at Me, who has asked for a special long podcast tonight because he's got a big long drive tomorrow. So hopefully after listening to this tonight or tomorrow, he doesn't drive himself off the road. That's all we can say, right? So just a final thank you to everyone for what is it now?
No, can I add a special farewell to Mrs. Agnes Thompson from Edinburgh, who passed away this morning. She used to look after me when I was driving the Tarrier Carrier to the away game in Edinburgh. To the family, I want to pass this on. I'll see you all soon.
That's the same. Thank you very much, Ralph. Thank you. Okay, and finally, just a big thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you for bearing with us for this podcast and for all of the year. Thank you for all your comments. Please keep sending them in, all your good wishes. And also, Monty, I'm just going to highlight you here, Monty, because especially when I was in Ireland recently, everybody keeps telling me how much they love your accent. So I'm now proud to announce that Monty will soon be recording 50 Shades of Celtic, and it will be available at the Celtic Superstore in the new year. All right, so everyone, so that should be available very soon. If he does get that director of business operations job he was going for at Celtic Park,
down to the last 10.
That's it. Right, and then so we do plan to have, unless Mr. Nancy gets the bullet taxi for Nancy before now in New Year, we do plan to have one more podcast before the end of New Year, and that is the Etims Annual Awards. There has now, as Hector and I were discussing earlier, there has been a major curveball been thrown into the awards, which we assumed would be straightforward. So we'll get a new addition to the Celtic Manager of the Year award and the Worst Celtic Manager of the Year award. So that'll be interesting, and the Worst Celtic Defeat award. So we'll see. We'll get the numbers in for those, and we'll have the Etims Award of the Year show before now in New Year. All right, folks. So it's just left for me to say thank you to the panel. Thank you, Ralph Mouth.
Cheery bye now.
Thank you, Hector Bandido.
Cheers, guys.
And thank you, Monty. See, what are you keeping confirmation bias, Monty, or do you think there's something else for the C?
I think I'll stick
Chaos.
Chaos, yeah.
Chaos ball.
Probably more accurate, but I'm going to stick with my confirmation bias at the minute. I'm pretty certain what I'm seeing at the minute, so we'll review that at the awards.
Okay, so again, yes, we'll look forward to the Etims Awards in the next week or so, folks. Thank you again for listening. A wee word from our sponsor, then an outro song. My name's Desmond. Good night.
Big Tams of the Gallowgate are proud to sponsor the Etims podcast for season 25-26. Do you like losing 3 games in a row? Do you like ripping up a winning formula? If so, then get yourself down to Big Tams in the Gallowgate, where we have some giant scissors all sharp and ready for your chaos. Big Tams. We love helping MLS coaches burn down the house.
that you'd arrive, but I guess they were lying. You sat all day at the bar to help you to forget the sound of them laughing. Snowblind, something's missing inside. Nothing's happening, your mind is not coming back this time. Remember when we first met? The sun shone late into the night. I heard you sighing, held your head high in the crowd, a long way to fall down. I heard you crying, snowblind, something's missing inside. Nothing's happening, your mind is not coming back this time. It's been a long time, I can't feel the same, but it's driving you again. Still hanging on to that night, like a full moon at first light, but the image is dying. Snowblind, something's missing inside. Nothing's happening, your mind is not coming back this time. Snowblind, something's missing inside. Nothing's happening, your mind is not coming back this time. It's not coming back this